Be, hear me now, for this moment is not for the faint of heart. It is a rise, a reckoning, a voice that demands to be heard, a light shattering the shadows. Welcome to this gathering of souls awakened to the hidden truths. You have journeyed through doubts, betrayals, unseen whispers, and the weight of suspicion. But now the fog parts and the revelation falls like thunder, and you stand on the cusp of vindication. The truth came out, and you were right about their family the entire time. And now you rise. This is your hour. This is your reckoning. You remember the nights when your heart pounded with questions, when each silence from them felt like a lie, when each glance twisted with secrets. You walked that rugged path alone. You felt the cold chill of disbelief from others. You were dismissed as paranoid, as cynical, as unkind. You bore that sting, but you held fast to the thread that told you something deeper lay hidden. You sensed the fracture behind the facade. You felt the tremors of falsehood beneath polite smiles and borrowed stories, and you refused to abandon what your instincts whispered, even when the world around you denied you. Now the veil has torn and the truth spilled into the light, and your patience vindicated. Don't misunderstand this moment. It is not simply a victory, it is a transformation. The truth coming out is a force, a purge, a moment when what was suppressed writhes into visibility. You will feel tremors in your soul. You will feel rage and sorrow mingled. You will see faces that once smiled, now contorted. You will hear confessions and witness unmasked intentions. And through it all, you stand more solid than ever, because you were right. You held faith in your insight despite the noise. You carried conviction when silence weighed heavy, and now you see your persistence was not blind, but rooted deep in the soil of truth. You might feel anger toward those who covered, who lied, who twisted their narrative. You might feel sorrow for the ones they silenced. You might feel unsettled by how easily they manipulated perceptions. You might feel pain at the fracture they created in your trust. But know this, your heart has been tempered in fire, your spirit sharpened in the conflict. And now that their lies crumble, you are not simply a survivor, but a victor. You will walk among the ruins of their deceit with your head held high. You will carry this truth like a blade that cuts through every future illusion. In the days ahead, you may feel eyes turned upon you by those who never believed. You may sense hostility from those invested in the old stories. You may hear whispers that you push too hard, that you uncover too much. But stand firm. Do not shrink your voice to soothe their discomfort. Your voice now echoes the revealed truth. Let your resolve be unyielding. Let your heart be your compass. Let your unshakable knowing guide every step. Forward, walk with dignity, walk with courage, walk with witness in your veins. Your inner strength now rises from the ashes of doubt. You will heal not by ignoring the wounds, but by owning them. You will reclaim your sense of self, not by denying your pain, but by integrating it. You will emerge with clarity, stronger, fiercer in your convictions than ever before. When they see you moving forward, unbowed, they will know that the truth did more for you than vengeance ever could. The truth heals, the truth frees, the truth transforms. Let this moment be your foundation, not a final destination, but a launch pad into what you will build from here. You will reshape your life around clarity, integrity, insight. No more appeasing false illusions, no more conceding your voice to silence, no more shrinking in the shadows of deception. From the ruin of their lives, you will plant seeds of purpose, vision, trust, stronger than the bonds you lost. Remember this, being right is not about proving others wrong. It is about aligning with what is real. It is about choosing light in the face of shadow. It is about honoring your own perception even when it trembles. It is about carrying truth as a standard of your being. The truth coming out is your validation. But beyond validation lies the richer reward. You awaken fully to your own strength. You thought you were alone for so long. For years, perhaps, you carried the weight of what you knew, quietly watching their actions, listening to the contradictions, the things that didn't make sense. the smiles that never reached their eyes, the carefully placed narratives they wove to keep others convinced of their innocence. But not you. Something in you always knew, and that inner knowing wasn't noise, it was signal. You didn't need evidence carved in stone, because you could feel the hollowness beneath their words, the way their story never aligned with their energy. You saw the cracks, the carefully polished mask, and though you may have doubted yourself at times, you never completely turned away from the truth you could see beneath the surface. And now the truth is out. You didn't have to scream it. You didn't have to tear them down. You didn't have to manipulate or twist anything. You just waited. You endured. You trusted that eventually the truth would outrun the lie. And it did. When the dust settled, the illusion fell apart, slowly at first, then all at once. And when it did, the world turned and looked at them, yes, but more importantly, at you, the one who had spoken quietly, the one who was ignored, misunderstood, dismissed. But you weren't wrong. You were right. And that changes everything, not just how they see you, but how you see yourself. You begin to realize your intuition isn't broken. Your discernment isn't too much. Your sensitivity isn't weakness, it's your weapon. You carried that truth like fire in your chest, and even when it burned, you didn't put it out. You let it shape you. You let it strengthen you. Every moment they tried to make you feel small, every subtle dismissal, every time they called you dramatic or said, "You're imagining things," all of it was fuel. And now, standing in the clarity of truth, you don't just feel relief, you feel reborn. Because it wasn't just about being right about them. It was about being right to trust yourself, to believe your gut, to listen to the part of you they wanted to silence. That's where your true power begins. Not in their downfall, but in your rising. You have earned your place, not through revenge, but through revelation. Not by tearing them down, but by standing in what you always knew. And now, it is them who face the mirror. Not the one they crafted for the world, but the real one. The mirror that reflects what they truly are. Their actions, their harm, their control, their games, and the consequences that come from all of it. You don't have to say, "I told you so." Your silence is louder. Your calm is more powerful. Your presence now burns with truth. Let the world see what you saw. Let them feel what you felt. Let them face what you faced in silence. Because you already lived through the fire they tried to keep hidden. You already walked through the darkness they tried to paint as light. And now, while they scramble to protect what's left of the lies, they fear you. Not because of what you'll do, but because of what you represent. You represent the one thing they can't control, truth. And truth doesn't beg to be believed. Truth doesn't chase validation. Truth simply waits. And you were patient. That patience, that's your legacy. That inner strength, that's your victory. You didn't have to raise your voice to prove you were right. You just had to stay true, stay grounded, stay in alignment with your knowing. And that was enough. That was everything. Now comes the hard part, because with the truth out, the illusions collapse. And as much as you may want to walk away, to close the chapter and never look back, there's something you must do first. You must let yourself feel what you couldn't feel when you were trying to survive it. You must grieve, not for them, but for you, for the version of you that doubted, that questioned, that wondered if maybe they were right and you were the one who was wrong. Grieve for the time you lost trying to be understood, for the energy you spent explaining your heart to people who had no intention of hearing you. Grieve for the loneliness that lived in your chest when you were surrounded by people who looked the other way. Let yourself feel it. Let it rise. Because on the other side of that pain is something extraordinary, freedom. And with freedom comes choice. Now that the truth is in the light, now that you are no longer doubting, you get to choose. You get to choose how your story continues. You get to choose who gets access to you. You get to choose what energy enters your space. You get to choose the boundaries you set, the ones that aren't made of guilt or fear, but of power. Because your power has returned to you. Every tear you shed in silence has been transformed into wisdom. Every betrayal you endured alone has been forged into strength. Every truth you held close when others denied it is now your crown. And when you walk forward from this moment, you are not walking as the same person who was gaslit, lied to, manipulated, or dismissed. You are walking as someone awakened. The truth didn't break you, it built you. This moment, it's not the end, it's the beginning. The beginning of a life built on truth, not illusion. On alignment, not appeasement. On clarity, not confusion. And those who once questioned you, they will watch. Maybe in silence, maybe with regret, maybe with awe, but they will watch. And whether they ever apologize, whether they ever admit what they did, whether they ever own their part, that's no longer your concern. Because you no longer need their permission to believe in yourself. You no longer need their validation to move forward. You no longer wait for anyone to hand you truth. Because now, you are it. You are the living proof that no matter how convincing the mask, truth, how convincing the mask, truth always finds a way to rise. So walk, head high, shoulders back, truth in your bones, fire in your voice, because you were right, and now the world knows it too. You've come this far, and now we go deeper, into the part of the journey where most turn away. Because when the truth finally comes out, it doesn't just vindicate, it demands. It demands change. It demands boundaries. It demands that you stop pretending the past didn't happen just because the world now finally sees what you saw all along. This moment, this fire of realization, is not here to comfort you. It's here to forge you. It's here to strip away everything that was never meant to stay. The false apologies, the forced peace, the half-healed scars. You've been carrying the weight of knowing for so long, and now the universe is whispering, no, roaring at you. Release it, all of it. Release the guilt you were never meant to carry. Release the fear that kept you quiet. Release the habit of second-guessing yourself because of how they made you feel. You are not responsible for how their truth hurts them. You are not responsible for how the mask finally cracking leaves them exposed. That is not your burden. That is their mirror. And mirrors don't lie. But now comes a question, one that only the brave can ask. What do you do with this power now that you've taken it back? Because that's what this moment is. It's power. The kind no one can hand you. The kind that's born from pain survived, from truths kept sacred, from silence held in the name of integrity. You now have a power that most people never reach, clarity. Clarity about who they really were. Clarity about who you really are. Clarity about what you will no longer allow. It's easy to get stuck here, in the aftermath of being right, to stand still in the ruins and keep pointing at the fire saying, see, I told you. But the ones who rise higher, they don't stay in the ashes. They build from them. So build. Build from everything they tried to break. Build from every moment they told you you were imagining it. Build from the silence you sat in while they wore their masks. Build from the truth that finally broke through the walls of deception. And understand this, it was never about them. It was never about being obsessed with their downfall. It was about you returning to yourself. Because when you live under manipulation, when you're constantly being told that what you feel isn't real, that what you sense is wrong, that your boundaries are overreactions, you start to forget your own voice. But not anymore. Now, you remember. Now, your voice isn't just something you use, it's something you own. And that voice, It's stronger than any lie they told. The most dangerous thing to someone who lives in deception is someone who sees clearly and speaks calmly, not with rage, not with revenge, but with the unshakable weight of truth. And that's what you carry now. Not bitterness, not vengeance, clarity. Let them talk. Let them scramble. Let them deny. It no longer matters, because you've stepped into a realm where your peace is not up for negotiation, where your insight is no longer a burden, but your greatest compass, where your truth is not a question, but a statement. I was right. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. It's the statement that marks the end of confusion and the beginning of self-respect. You see, it's not just about what they did. It's about how you responded. You didn't destroy them. You didn't retaliate. You didn't match their manipulation with more manipulation. You did the rarest thing. You waited. You let the truth breathe. You gave it time. You let it ride. And that's what makes you dangerous now. Not loudness, not force, but the calm certainty of someone who doesn't need to prove anything anymore, because the truth already did. You are free now, not just because the truth came out, but because you no longer need anyone else to carry it with you. You've been vindicated, but more than that, you've been reborn. This new chapter, it's sacred, and not everyone gets access to it. That family you were right about, let them sit in their own undoing. Let them feel what it's like to face a world that no longer believes their stories. Let them wrestle with the emptiness that comes when the curtain finally drops. But you don't need to look back. You have already won something they never had: peace. True peace doesn't come from being liked. It comes from knowing that even when no one believed you, you believed yourself. And now, everyone sees why you had to walk away, why you had to protect your energy, why you stayed quiet when others took their side, why you never felt safe in their presence, no matter how friendly their tone was. Because beneath it all, you saw the truth. And the truth has now come full circle. So let them deal with it. Let the truth echo. Let it reshape the way others see them. Let it rewrite the narrative they tried to control. But you're not stuck in the past. You're not trapped in the pain. You're walking forward, wiser, lighter, more powerful than you've ever been. And every time you feel that familiar pull to explain yourself, to prove your side, to justify what you knew, remind yourself, the truth already did. Let your presence speak for itself. Let your peace say what words cannot. Let your life be the loudest response to every lie they ever told. Because in the end, there is no revenge greater than rising, no justice greater than peace, no power greater than knowing you were right. Let's complete the journey. You've come through fire, through silence, through disbelief. And now the world knows what you always knew. The final piece of this path is the becoming, because this isn't just about proving a point. It's about becoming someone you no longer have to defend. You see, the truth has a way of breaking things, yes, but only to rebuild something stronger. When illusions fall, so do the false connections, the obligations you were guilted into, the relationships you kept out of fear, not love. And when that truth came out, when it finally rose to the surface, undeniable, unshakable, it didn't just expose them, it freed you. This is what freedom feels like. You don't flinch when their name comes up. You don't shrink when the past is mentioned. You don't rehearse your defense anymore, because you don't need one. You have nothing to prove to anyone. Not now, not ever. Because the people who matter, they see it now. And the ones who still refuse to see it, they were never on your side to begin with. Let that sink in. Not everyone who sat at your table deserved a seat. Not everyone who smiled at you meant you well. Not everyone who called you family acted like it. And that's what hurts the most sometimes. Not the truth itself, but how long you tried to protect people who wouldn't have done the same for you. You stayed silent to keep the peace. You dimmed your light to make them comfortable. You carried the weight of keeping the image intact, even as it crushed your spirit. But now that the mask is off, so are you. No more pretending, no more playing small, no more pretending you're okay with what they did just to keep the peace. You don't need to forgive them just because others say you should. You don't need to reconnect just because they suddenly want to talk. You don't owe anyone closure who handed you silence when you needed support. What you owe to yourself is truth. And here's what the truth is. You were right. You did see it clearly. You did trust yourself. And that is your strength now, forever. There will come a time, sooner than you think, where all of this is behind you. Not because it didn't matter, but because you'll be so deeply rooted in peace and power that it simply won't define you anymore. They will still be trying to explain, to fix, to hide, to rewrite. You'll be too far ahead to hear it. This is the version of you that was born from truth. Focused, clear, unbothered, unshaken. People will wonder how you got so calm, so confident, so strong. And they'll never understand that it came from walking through a storm with no umbrella, no hand to hold, and no one clapping for you, except the voice inside that whispered, "You're not crazy. You're right. Keep going." That voice saved you. Now you become that voice for others. Because here's the deepest truth of all. The world needs people who are brave enough to speak the truth. Others are too afraid to face. The world needs people who are done playing the polite version of themselves, who are no longer willing to stay silent for the comfort of others. You are that person now. The pain didn't break you. The lies didn't win. The silence didn't steal your voice. And their shame, it's no longer yours to carry. So, what do you do with this power? You walk, you build, you thrive, you create new boundaries so strong that no manipulation can pass through. You surround yourself with people who don't need to be convinced of your value. You honor your instincts the first time, every time, and most of all, you never, ever doubt your truth again. Because now, when someone questions your gut, when they mock your instincts, when they try to downplay what you feel, you look them in the eye and think, I've seen what happens when I don't listen to myself. That won't happen again. So, here's what you need to know as you rise from this moment. You are not who they made you feel like. You are not broken. You are not dramatic. You are not difficult. You are not too much. You are powerful. You are discerning. You are aligned. You are honest. And above all else, you are right. Let the world say what it wants. Let them twist the story if they must. You don't have to fight anymore. You've already won. So walk forward now, not as the person who survived, but as the person who transformed. Let your peace be proof. Let your glow be your answer. Let your life, from this day forward, be built not on illusion, but on truth. Because the truth came out, and you were right the entire time. Ladies and gentlemen, let me paint you a picture. A masterpiece crafted by none other than the divine hands of God himself. You see, life isn't random, it's a canvas. Every stroke, every splash of color. It's deliberate, it's purposeful, it's meaningful. And as we stand here today, I want you to take a moment to appreciate the intricate design that is your life. No matter how twisted the strokes may seem, no matter how chaotic the splash of colors appear, there is a purpose behind it all. There is a plan, and you are part of that plan, chosen by the divine, not by chance, not by fate, but by the Creator, who holds the power of destiny in his hands. And I want you to understand this before we go any further. God chose you to carry out a mission. One that will shake the very foundations of the mighty narcissists who have tried to manipulate the world with their false pretenses, their arrogance, their desire for control, and their hunger for power. The narcissists, they come in all forms. They wear masks of charm. They speak with sweet words. They present themselves as leaders. But underneath their surface lies a different truth, a truth of self-absorption, a truth of manipulation, a truth of deceit. And they will do whatever it takes to climb to the top of the pyramid, even if it means trampling on those below them. They don't care about people. They care about their image. They care about their ego. They care about their self-worth, which is constantly in need of validation. And as you go through life encountering them, you may have wondered why you were chosen to face them. Why you? Why me? Why you? Why us? But here's the thing, my friends, you were never meant to be a victim. You were never meant to be a pawn in their game of manipulation. You were never meant to be a mere player in their sick dance of control. Instead, God, in His infinite wisdom and power, He chose you to be the one to expose them for what they truly are. He chose you to be the one to stand firm in the face of their twisted lies and false narratives. He chose you to be the one to bring them down and place them where they truly belong. You see, they think they are untouchable. They believe they are above the law. They believe they are above everything and everyone else. But God has a different plan in store for them, a plan that includes you. For you are not just a bystander in this divine drama. You are the hero. You are the one chosen to carry out the mission that will shake the foundation of their fragile empire of narcissism. God used you to put them in their place, not because you're weak, not because you're small, not because you're insignificant, but because you have something they could never possess. You have the truth. You have the light. You have the strength to stand up against them and bring them to their knees. They are nothing more than shadows in the darkness, and you are the light that exposes them for who they really are. You see, the narcissists, they operate in fear. They thrive in secrecy. They depend on lies and manipulation to keep their world intact. But your strength lies in your authenticity, your truth, your refusal to bow down to their games and deceit. They cannot stand the light that you bring because it exposes them. It shows the cracks in their armor. It reveals the emptiness behind their facade, and this is why you have been chosen. This is why you have been placed in their path. You see, God doesn't waste His resources. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't put people in positions they cannot handle. He chose you because He knew you could handle it. He knew you could look them in the eye and say no. He knew you could stand in the face of their threats and their intimidation and say, I will not bend, I will not break, I will not let you destroy me. And when you stood tall in that moment of doubt, when you refused to be controlled by their toxic grip, when you broke free from their hold, you became a living testament to the power of the divine. You became a symbol of strength and courage, a reminder to every narcissist out there that no matter how powerful they think they are, no matter how high they think they've climbed, there is always a greater force at work, a force that will bring them down when they least expect it. And that force is you and the divine power that courses through your veins. Now I know what you're thinking. It's not easy. It's never easy to face someone with that much power and influence, to stand up against them when they have everything at their disposal. But let me tell you something. They are not invincible. They are not unstoppable. They are fragile. They are insecure. They are drowning in their own self-doubt, and their biggest fear is being exposed for what they truly are. And this is where you come in, because you are the one who will expose them. You are the one who will strip away the layers of deception that they have carefully constructed around themselves, and you will show the world the truth about them. But don't think for a second that this will be easy. Don't think for a second that they will go down without a fight, because they will try to manipulate you. They will try to break you. They will try to gaslight you into believing that you're crazy or that you're overreacting. But you must stand firm in your truth. You must hold your ground, because once you've seen through their lies, once you've recognized the emptiness behind their words, there is no going back. You cannot unsee what you've seen, and you must not let them convince you otherwise. And when you expose them, when you stand firm and show the world who they really are, don't be surprised if they come at you with everything they've got. Don't be surprised if they try to tear you down, if they try to turn people against you, if they try to ruin your reputation. But here's the truth. They cannot destroy what has already been redeemed. They cannot take away what has already been saved. They cannot take away the power that resides within you. They cannot take away your truth. And the world will see that no matter how hard they try, no matter how many lies they spin, you cannot be defeated. But here's the kicker, my friends. Just when they think they've won, just when they think they've silenced you, just when they think they've broken your spirit, that's when the divine will step in. That's when God will show up in a way that no narcissist can ever fathom. Because he will remind them that he is the true authority. He will remind them that he is the one who holds the ultimate power, not them. And he will use you to remind them of that truth. They may have power for a season, they may have influence for a time, but their time is limited. Their reign is short-lived, and in the end, they will fall, and you will rise. God used you to put those mighty narcissists in their place, and he did it because he knew you were the only one who could do it. He knew you were the only one strong enough to face the darkness and stand tall in the light. He knew you were the only one brave enough to expose them for who they truly are. And when it's all said and done, you will look back and see that everything that happened was not by chance, it was not by coincidence, but by design, by the divine plan that only God could have orchestrated. You were chosen for this moment, not because you were perfect, not because you were invincible, but because you were willing to fight for the truth, because you were willing to stand up for what was right, because you were willing to face the darkness and say, I will not back down, I will not give in, I will not let you win. And because of that, the narcissists who thought they could rule the world will fall, and you will stand tall, victorious, not because of your own strength, but because you stood in the strength of the divine, who chose you for this very purpose. And in that victory, you will understand the true power that God has placed within you, and you will never doubt your worth again. You see, ladies and gentlemen, when you stand in the light of the truth, when you finally see who you are, when you understand that God has placed within you a power so vast, so untouchable, you will never again doubt your worth. It may have been a long journey to get here. Perhaps you've walked through storms, stood on the precipice of despair, and felt alone. But now you stand on solid ground, ground that has been laid out for you by the very hands of God to ensure that you not only survive, but thrive in the face of every challenge that comes your way. And the very narcissists who tried to break you, who tried to crush your spirit, will now find themselves unable to even touch the fabric of your being. How many of you have faced the venom of the narcissist? How many have felt their cold grip, their sharp words, and their twisted actions trying to control the course of your life? They play with the minds of others, casting shadows over your brightest days, trying to tell you that you are less than you are, that your voice doesn't matter, that your truth is nothing. They operate in the darkness, manipulating the weak, lying, deceiving, and distorting reality to fit their narrative. Their egos grow so large They think they are untouchable, but they are not. These narcissists, with all their power, are fragile beings beneath their arrogant facades. And you, my friends, are the ones who will make them realize this. The moment you stand up and say no more, the moment you refuse to bend and accept their twisted versions of reality, you begin to undo the damage they've done. For the narcissist is not built on truth. They are built on manipulation, on smoke and mirrors. And the minute you refuse to be their pawn, the minute you expose their lies, they begin to unravel. But it isn't an easy journey. It is not for the faint of heart. There will be moments when the narcissist, in their desperation, will come at you with everything they've got. They will gaslight you, twist your words, and try to make you doubt your reality. They will smear your name, turn people against you, and use every tactic they know to discredit you. But let me tell you, and let this be the truth that rings loud in your ears, those attempts will only reveal more of who they are. Their attacks are not a reflection of your weakness. They are a reflection of their own insecurities. They attack because they know, deep down, that they cannot stand in the light of your truth. They are like shadows, only existing where there is darkness. But when you bring the light, when you bring the truth, their darkness can no longer survive. So, to every narcissist who has ever tried to tear you down, to every person who has tried to silence your voice, I say this: God has placed within you the strength to endure. He has placed within you the wisdom to see through their lies. And He has placed within you the courage to speak your truth. And when you speak that truth, it will shake their world to its core. You see, they will never understand your power. They cannot. Their egos are too fragile, their minds too locked in their own delusions of grandeur. They don't understand that real strength isn't about control, isn't about manipulation, isn't about belittling others to elevate yourself. No, real strength comes from standing in your own truth, in knowing who you are, in knowing that no matter what they throw at you, you will rise above it. You've been tested, haven't you? You've been pushed to the edge. You've been broken down by their words, their actions, and the weight of their disregard for your humanity. But here you are, stronger than ever, wiser than ever, and more powerful than they could ever imagine. They want you to believe that you are powerless. They want you to feel insignificant, to believe that you are nothing. But let me tell you, they are the ones who are insignificant. They are the ones who are nothing. You see, their false sense of superiority is built on a lie. Their confidence is not confidence at all, but a desperate need for validation that will never be satisfied. They are like empty vessels, constantly seeking to fill themselves with the approval of others, but nothing ever truly fills them. And when they see someone like you, someone who stands strong in their own identity, someone who refuses to be controlled by their narcissism, they are threatened. This is where your role becomes clear. God has chosen you to be the one to stand against the tide of their manipulation. He has placed you in this position, in this moment, because you are the one who will break their hold on this world. You are the one who will shine the light of truth in a world that has been distorted by their lies. But here's something you must understand. When you begin to stand in your truth, when you begin to rise above their tactics, they will not simply roll over and surrender. Number, they will fight harder. They will fight with everything they have, because they know that their world is crumbling. But that is where your power lies. The harder they fight, the more you will know you are winning. Every insult they throw at you, every attempt they make to belittle you, is a sign that they are afraid. They are afraid of the truth you carry. They are afraid of the strength you possess. And as long as you stand firm, as long as you hold on to the truth that you are worthy, you will continue to win. Now don't mistake this for a cult of vengeance. This is not about getting back at them. No, this is about standing your ground. This is about recognizing that your worth is not dependent on their approval. Your worth is not dependent on their validation. Your worth is not dependent on the way they treat you. Your worth is inherent in who you are because God Himself placed that worth in you. When you understand this, when you truly internalize this truth, the narcissist's power over you begins to evaporate. Their insults no longer sting. Their manipulations no longer work. Their control begins to slip away, and eventually, they will realize that they cannot touch you. You are untouchable. They may continue to play their games with others, but they will never be able to play them with you. Because you, my friends, are armed with something they can never possess: the truth. The truth of who you are, the truth of your worth, the truth of the divine power that resides within you. And in that moment, when they realize that their tactics no longer work, when they see that they no longer have a hold on you, that is when their world will come crashing down. They will see that their lies, their manipulation, their cruelty, none of it can stand in the face of the truth. And when that truth is revealed, they will be left with nothing but the shattered remnants of their own deception. But this victory is not about watching them fall. It's about watching you rise. It's about seeing you stand tall, unbroken, and unwavering in the face of everything they tried to throw at you. It's about seeing you walk forward into the life you were meant to live, the life that God has prepared for you, untouched by their lies, unscarred by their cruelty. And as you walk forward, you will see them for what they truly are: empty, powerless, and desperate. You will see them try to gather whatever fragments of control they can, but it will be too late. You will see the hollow eyes of someone who has built their entire life on deception, and you will know, without a doubt, that they have no power over you. So walk forward with confidence. Walk forward, knowing that God has placed a strength in you that no narcissist can ever take away. Walk forward, knowing that the truth you carry is the ultimate weapon against their lies. And as you walk, know that you are not alone. God is with you, always, guiding your steps, lighting your path, and giving you the strength to continue to stand firm in the face of every challenge that comes your way. The narcissists, with all their power, will crumble before you, and in the end, it will be you who stands victorious. Because God has placed within you a strength they could never comprehend, and that, my friends, is the greatest victory of all. My friends, this victory, the one I speak of, is the greatest victory of all. You will come to realize that the true essence of your journey was never about defeating them. It was always about recognizing your own worth. It was always about understanding that you are more than they ever told you, more than they ever allowed you to believe. The moment you step into the fullness of your divine purpose, the moment you accept your place in this grand design, you will see that the narcissists never truly had the power they claimed. All they had was an illusion, and you have been chosen to shatter that illusion. You see, their entire existence is based on a lie that they created and imposed upon themselves, a lie that they projected onto the world, and a lie that they tried to make you believe. They believed that if they could tear you down, if they could control your narrative, if they could manipulate your emotions, they could keep you in their grip forever. They wanted you to think that your worth was tied to their approval, that your identity was something to be validated by them. But my friends, the truth is that they have no power over you. They never did. Their power was always rooted in your submission to their lies. And now, as you stand here, as you stand in the light of your truth, you see that the chains that once held you are no longer there. Their false authority, Their false sense of superiority has no hold on you. For you are no longer the person they tried to make you. You are no longer the person they tried to diminish. You are no longer the person who felt small in their presence. Number, you are bigger than they ever imagined. You are stronger than they ever gave you credit for. And as you realize this, as you step into the fullness of your power, they begin to realize something too. Something that will haunt them for the rest of their days. They were never the ones in control. The truth, my friends, is a sword that cannot be dulled. It is a fire that cannot be extinguished. It is a light that cannot be hidden. And once you embrace the truth of who you are, once you accept the divine purpose within you, you cannot be stopped. They will try to play their games. They will try to manipulate, to gaslight, to twist and turn the world around you. But in the end, their games will no longer have any effect on you, because you have become untouchable. Now, I know that some of you may still have doubts. You may still feel the remnants of their voices echoing in your mind, telling you that you are nothing, telling you that you are insignificant, telling you that you don't matter. But I am here to tell you that those voices are nothing more than the hollow cries of those who have no real power. Those voices are the last desperate attempt of someone who knows they are losing. And when you hear them, when you feel them creeping in, remember that they are not your truth. They are their truth. They are the truth of a broken, insecure person who cannot bear the thought of someone standing in their own strength. When they come at you with their insults, when they try to undermine your accomplishments, when they try to make you feel small, remember that you are not defined by their words. You are not defined by their actions. You are defined by the power of the divine within you. You are defined by your authenticity. You are defined by your ability to stand tall in the face of adversity, to rise when others would fall, to remain true to yourself when the world tries to pull you into its lies. And that, my friends, is what makes you dangerous to them. You see, narcissists are afraid of authenticity. They are terrified of people who stand in their own truth because they have never known such freedom. They live in a world of illusion, a world of masks, a world of pretenses. But you live in a world of reality. You live in a world where you know your worth, where you know your value, where you are not afraid to stand in the light of your own truth, no matter how uncomfortable that might make others. You have become a force to be reckoned with. But let me make one thing clear. This journey is not over. The narcissists, the manipulators, the controllers, they will not go away quietly. Their whole existence depends on maintaining control, on keeping others in their grasp. And just because you've begun to rise, just because you've started to reclaim your truth, does not mean that they will stop trying to pull you back into their web. They will continue to test you. They will continue to push you. They will continue to try to break you. But each time they come at you, each time they try to bring you down, you will rise higher. You will stand stronger. You will stand firmer in your truth. And every time they try to pull you down, they will only help you soar higher. In this battle, you will become unstoppable. It won't happen all at once. It won't be easy. But every time you push back, every time you say no, every time you refuse to accept their lies, you are building a foundation that will carry you through every storm. And one day soon, you will look back and realize that they are no longer a part of your life. You will look back and see that they have faded into the background, while you have continued to grow, to evolve, to become the person you were always meant to be. And that, my friends, will be the ultimate victory. Because the narcissist's power is not in their ability to tear others down. Their power lies in the illusion that they can control others, that they can dictate the terms of reality. But when you break free from that illusion, when you stand in the fullness of your truth, their power vanishes, and they are left with nothing but the hollow remnants of their own emptiness. So, what do you do with this victory? What do you do with the knowledge that you have been chosen by the divine to stand against the tide of manipulation, to rise above the lies, to expose the truth. You walk forward with your head held high. You walk forward with the confidence of someone who knows that no matter what challenges arise, you are more than equipped to face them. You are armed with the truth. You are armed with divine strength. You are armed with the power of authenticity. And let me tell you this, when you walk forward in that power, there will be no stopping you. The narcissists may have been the ones who tried to break you, who tried to keep you in your place, but they will be the ones who fall while you rise. And when they look at you, when they see your light shining brighter than ever, they will know one thing for sure. Your victory was always inevitable. It was written in the stars. It was part of the divine plan. And you are always meant to be the one to bring the truth to light. So continue to walk, continue to stand firm, continue to speak your truth. And remember, in the end, it is you who will win. It is you who will rise, and it is you who will stand victorious. Not because of anything they did, but because of the power of the divine that resides within you. In conclusion, my friends, you have been chosen for this journey because within you lies a strength that no narcissist, no manipulator, no deceiver can ever take away. They may try to break you, to control you, to convince you that you are less than you are, but they will fail. For you stand in the power of truth, in the light of authenticity, and in the divine purpose that God has placed within you. The victory is yours, not because you've defeated them, but because you've come to know who you truly are. You are not defined by their lies or their actions. You are defined by the strength, the courage, and the truth that courses through your veins. And as you walk forward, you walk as someone untouchable, unstoppable, and absolutely unbreakable. The narcissists may fall, but you will rise, and in your rise, you will claim the victory that was always yours. Stand tall, for this is just the beginning. Welcome, soul of the storm. Welcome, furnace-born and frost-fed. You are not here by accident. No, this place, this moment, this exact heartbeat, it was summoned. Summoned by the echoes of things whispered in shadows, the tremors of your name passing like a rumor through the lips of people who never really knew you. They thought they were laughing, but now the laughter has frozen in their throats, because what they called a joke, what they mocked in passing, has begun to awaken. And the thing they feared most wasn't the psychic's words. It was the fact that they were true. They asked a psychic about you, out of boredom, out of pettiness, out of some twisted need to feel superior. Maybe they were drunk. Maybe they were just cruel. Maybe they thought the universe was a toy they could twist in their hands. But the universe listens. It always listens. And when they pulled your name into that room, they didn't know they were calling on a force still in the fire of becoming. They didn't know your story wasn't over. They didn't know that scars don't mean weakness. They mean survival. You see, they wanted entertainment. They wanted a little joke reading, a game, something funny to post about, a little story to share that mocked your path, your pain, your quiet power. But what they got was a prophecy, not of destruction, but of return, of rising, of a storm walking on 2 feet, wrapped in silence, cloaked in patience, guided by something bigger than rage, purpose. And now they regret everything, because what the psychic saw wasn't a failure. It wasn't someone broken. It wasn't some helpless figure in their rearview mirror. No, what they saw shook them. They saw a shadow behind your name that stretched farther than their own future. They saw you becoming something they could never be, because they never had to fight the way you did, because they never bled alone in the dark and kept going anyway, because they never held their own broken spirit in their bare hands, and refused to let it die. The psychic saw your name wrapped in chains, but those chains weren't binding you. They were being torn apart, link by link. They saw your silence, but it wasn't fear, it was focus. They saw pain behind your eyes, but that pain was sharpening into vision, into precision, into an unstoppable hunger to rise, not for revenge, but for your own damn soul. And in that moment, they stopped laughing, because you weren't the joke. You were the warning. You were the lesson waiting to be learned the hard way. They thought you were weak because you were quiet. They thought you were defeated because you were rebuilding. They mistook your stillness for surrender. But stillness is where earthquakes begin. It's where avalanches are born. It's where warriors breathe before the final strike. They regret it now. Not just because of what was said, but because they felt something shift. Something in the air around your name. The weight of a destiny they could never carry. The vibration of a soul that doesn't run from fire, but walks through it like it was made for it. They looked for weakness and found prophecy. They asked for a joke and found a reckoning. Because the truth is this: you were never small. You were only underestimated. You were never broken, only breaking through. And everything they thought they knew about you was only the ashes, not the flame. That psychic? They didn't just see your future, they felt your becoming. They saw the path rising behind you like thunder, the choices you made when no one believed in you, the nights you whispered to yourself just to survive until morning. They saw a force wrapped in human skin, walking with the weight of every time you were doubted, every time you were pushed down, every time you were forgotten, and choosing to keep going anyway. You are not the joke. You are the echo that never died. You are the silence before the roar. You are the unfinished story that keeps rewriting itself in blood, sweat, and undeniable light. So let them regret it. Let them regret ever calling your name without respect. Let them regret ever putting their laughter where your fire lived. Let them remember that they played with something they didn't understand. And let them learn that when you speak someone's name into the universe, you better be ready for what answers back. Because now, it's your time, not time for revenge. That's too small for you. That's their language. No, you're rising for something greater. You're rising because your story is not done, because your pain wasn't wasted, because the things you suffered built a strength so quiet, so deep, so immovable, that no one saw it coming until it was already here. They asked a psychic about you, and they laughed. But the laugh was hollow. It was the kind of laugh people use to cover fear, the kind of laugh that doesn't touch the eyes, because somewhere inside, they knew, they felt it, that what they were calling a joke wasn't a punchline, it was a prophecy. Storm quietly sharpening its teeth, a soul that had nothing left to lose, and therefore, everything to become. And that is what you are now, unstoppable, not because of what they said, but because you've walked through too much to be shaken by opinions. You've faced too much darkness to fear theirs. You've rebuilt yourself from the kind of silence most people would drown in. And now, you rise, not loud, not for show, but for truth, for the version of you that they never saw coming. Let them watch, let them whisper, let them wonder, let them play back that psychic's words in their minds again and again, wishing they could forget, but they won't, because every time they see you now, they'll remember. They called it a joke, but the universe called it fate, and the fate is this: you are not who they said you were. You are who you decided to become. You are not the pain. You are the process. You are not the broken. You are the builder. You are not the forgotten. You are the fire that remembers everything. They thought they summoned a laugh, but they summoned a legacy. So take every scar and sharpen it. Take every tear and turn it into a torch. Walk through their doubt like it's smoke and breathe deeper. Let your name echo through the chambers of their disbelief until it becomes a drumbeat they can't escape. Because they'll never laugh at you again. Not because you silence them, but because your becoming is too loud, too powerful, too undeniable. And in the end, when they remember the psychic and the joke and the moment they tried to shrink your spirit down into something small enough to laugh at, they will remember how wrong they were. They will remember what it felt like to be in the presence of someone becoming immortal through endurance, through discipline, through something they never had, the courage to keep going when no one clapped. Because this isn't just a comeback, it's not a show. This is the birth of your second soul. This is the era of your impossible. This is the moment you take everything they thought you were and become what they never imagined. Let the psychic's words echo in the silence they left behind. Let them hear it when you move in silence. Let them feel it when your success walks into the room before you say a word. Because now, you are not the question. You are the answer, and they regret everything. And they regret everything, not because they were punished. Number, you're not here to destroy. You are here to evolve. And that's what terrifies them the most. Because deep down, they realize you don't need to hurt them to win. You just need to keep becoming everything they said you couldn't. They regret it because now your name walks ahead of you. It no longer trails behind, dusty and forgotten. It carries weight now. It carries gravity. It bends the air in the room before you speak. And those who once smirked now fall silent because they feel it too. The shift, the power, the awakening of something that was always there, hidden beneath the surface, just waiting for the right moment to rise. They regret it because they realize the mistake wasn't in what they said. It was in who they said it about. You were never the one to underestimate. You were the one forged in silence, sharpened by struggle, and reborn through refusal, to give up, to give in, to become anything less than legend. The psychic didn't flinch because she had seen it before, in dreams, in visions, in the trembling edge between this world and the next. She saw it in your spirit, that strange, beautiful, dangerous light. The kind of light that doesn't come from the sun, but from survival, from being shattered and still choosing to shine. They regret it because the moment they mocked your name, they triggered a response from the universe itself. And the universe does not play. The path you are on now is not paved with revenge. It's not paved with fury. It's paved with clarity. With every step you leave behind, not just the past, but the version of you who once waited for their approval. That version is gone. That version died the moment they laughed, and you realize you don't need them to believe in you. You only need you. Every day since then has been a transformation, quiet, invisible to them. While they laughed, you learned. While they mocked, you moved in silence. While they slept peacefully, thinking the game was over, you were building your mind, your will, your purpose. And now they see the result not in what you say, but in what you are. You are living proof that pain can become power, that darkness is not the end, that the broken can rise, not as victims, but as visions. And now when they see you, they can't even look you in the eyes, not because they fear you, but because you remind them of everything they could have become. If they'd had your strength, regret doesn't come with fireworks. It comes in silence, in still moments, in thoughts they can't escape, in the shadow of your name that follows them, whispering truths they'll never say out loud, that you became more than they ever expected, not despite their doubt, but because of it. Let them carry that. Let your success be the echo that never stops ringing in their minds. Let your presence be the reminder that no matter how deep they buried you, you were a seed. Let your strength be the mirror they can't look into without seeing everything they lack. Because you are not angry, you are not bitter, you are something far more powerful. You are inevitable. They regret it now because they know there's no turning back. They can't erase what they said. They can't undo the laughter. They can't rewrite the moment they made your name a joke. That moment is carved in stone, a monument to their blindness, a reminder that they couldn't see your worth until the world started to. And it is starting to. The energy has changed. People feel it when you walk into a room. They sense it in your words, in your eyes, in your silence. You carry not just pain, but purpose. Not just wounds, but wisdom. And you no longer explain yourself, because what you are now speaks for itself. They regret it because they realize the story they tried to write about you is being rewritten by you. And your version doesn't include them. Your version is built on discipline, on late nights with no applause, on early mornings with no support, on days when the only thing you had was a reason not to quit. And that reason was always greater than revenge. It was redemption, not from them, but from every part of you that once believed them, every version of you that looked in the mirror and saw someone who wasn't enough, every thought poisoned by their words, every dream you buried under fear. You're not just rising to prove them wrong, you're rising to prove yourself right. This journey was never about them. It started with their mockery, yes, but now it moves with its own momentum, carried by vision, fueled by fire, directed by something sacred, your refusal to become invisible again. Because here's the secret. They didn't just laugh at you, they tried to erase you. They tried to make you forget what you are, tried to reduce you to a punchline. But now, you are the story. Not just a chapter, not just a moment, the entire book. And the psychic? She didn't just give them a reading, she gave them a warning. They just didn't understand it until it was too late. Now they see it, in your movement, in your silence, in your smile, in your strength. You were never the weak one. You were just the one who hadn't arrived yet. But now you have, and everything is different. Let them sit with it. Let them remember it. Let them tell the story of how they once asked a psychic about you, as a joke. And now, every time they speak of it, it tastes like ash in their mouths. Not because you burned them, but because they burned their own bridge to greatness when they laughed at you. You were the gate. You were the key. You were the future they never saw coming. And now, you walk forward, not to prove a point, but to fulfill a prophecy. Your prophecy. Because what they called a joke was the beginning of something immortal. They never understood what they were invoking. They thought your name was soft, forgettable, like it didn't carry storms in its syllables. But the universe heard them, and the psychic, she wasn't just reading the future. She was witnessing the unveiling of something older than pain, deeper than rage. She was speaking the first words of a transformation that had already begun the moment they dismissed you. That's what they'll never admit, that they awakened you. Their laughter was your spark. Their doubt became your discipline. Their mockery pushed you into the darkness, and that darkness is where you learned how to build power without noise, grace without mercy, movement without needing to be seen. They thought it was funny then. But what's funny now? That they still whisper about you, that they still wonder what the psychic said that night when her smile faded and her voice dropped low, and she looked past their smirks and said, "This one is not done." They remember that line, even now, even after all this time. It replays in their head, doesn't it? This one is not done. And you weren't. You're not. You are still unfolding, still evolving, still becoming something they will never fully understand, because they never paid the price you paid to become it. Your strength didn't come from praise. It came from silence, from nights where you were your only witness, from years of being underestimated and still showing up. That kind of strength doesn't speak often, but when it does, the world listens. And now, the world is beginning to listen. They regret it because you're not chasing them. You're not even looking back. You've moved beyond them, and in that distance, they've started to feel small. Not because you made them feel that way, but because they finally see how big you always were. They regret it because now your story is being told, not by you, but by your actions, your focus, your rise, your silence, your decisions. Every win, every step, every ounce of progress. It's a new verse in the poem they tried to end before it ever began. You were never their joke. You were their lesson. And it came too late. They're learning now that destiny doesn't knock. It waits, quietly, silently, behind those who seem ordinary, behind those who walk with no spotlight, behind those who look forgotten, but walk with fire in their lungs, behind people like you. They asked for a joke, and they got a reckoning. They wanted to be entertained, and they got a prophecy. They wanted a laugh, and they summoned a legacy. Because here's the thing they didn't understand. You were always going to rise. You were always going to become. But they sped up the process. They poured doubt onto your roots and never realized that you grow best in silence. They tried to bury you, not knowing that you were planted. And now, you're blooming in ways they can't comprehend. They regret it because they realize they were part of the story, but only in the beginning, not in the next chapter, not in the climax, not in the legacy. You leave them behind, not with hate, but with elevation. Because you've outgrown them. Let them watch. Let them remember. Let them tell the story, again and again, of how they laughed and how the laughter faded. Because now, when they speak your name, it carries weight. Now, when they hear your voice, it echoes. Now, when they see you, they see everything they said you'd never become. And when they remember the psychic's eyes narrowing, the air going still, the mood shifting, they'll remember the moment that silence fell over the room, the moment the laughter stopped, the moment they first felt that chill, that something had been set in motion, that something was you. And now, you walk alone, not because you're isolated, but because no one can walk this path but you. This path wasn't given. It was carved in sacrifice, in choices, in blood, and will, and quiet, tireless becoming. And they will never understand it, because they never had to live it. They regret it now, because they know, too late, that you were never meant to be laughed at. You were meant to be remembered, and you will be. Not for revenge, not for anger, but for rising so far, so silently, so powerfully, that your very existence becomes the monument. You don't need to prove them wrong anymore. You already did. You don't need to respond. You are the response. So walk forward now, not for them, but for the version of you that never gave up. For the version of you that stayed awake while the world slept. For the version of you that kept showing up even when no one clapped. For the version of you they laughed at and who still didn't quit. Because that version, that forgotten version, was the seed of your greatness. Let them regret it. Let them feel it. Let them remember. They asked a psychic about you as a joke. Now you are the prophecy. Now you are the storm. Now you are the name that won't be silenced. And they regret everything. And still, even now, they speak your name differently. No longer in jest, no longer with amusement. Now it comes with hesitation, with weight, with the kind of careful caution people use when they realize they were standing next to a storm and didn't even know it, because the difference is clear now. You are no longer who they joked about. You are no longer the person they dismissed. You are the version of yourself you were always meant to become. And the beautiful, brutal truth is this: they will never get access to that version, Not again, not now, not ever. You walked through the fire and they assumed you would burn. But you were never flammable. You were forged. They thought it was the end of your story, but it was the opening chapter. They closed the book, thinking the character had failed. But you weren't a character. You were the author. And now you are writing your legacy in bold, relentless ink. Not to be liked, not to be praised, but to exist fully in a world that tried to make you small. They regret it now because they thought that they understood you, but the truth is, they never even saw you, because if they had, they would have known. You were never something to laugh at. You were a prophecy in progress, a legend in waiting, a quiet king, a silent queen, a mountain wrapped in skin. And mountains don't chase. Mountains stand, and still, they rise. So let the world watch. Let them ask what changed. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them question how you survived. You owe them nothing. You survived because you decided to. You rose because you had to. And you became because something ancient in you refused to stay small. So when they tell the story, and they will, they'll leave out the part where they laughed. They'll edit out the mockery. They'll change the tone because they can't handle the truth. They help build you by trying to break you, but you will always remember. You will carry that moment, not as pain, but as fuel. Because the difference between them and you is that they laughed, but you listened. They played, but you prepared. They dismissed, but you decided. And now, you are not just seen, you are felt. When you enter the room, the air bends. Not because you're loud, but because presence doesn't require volume. You walk with history behind you, an eternity ahead. You are not just a person anymore. You are a force, a reminder, a living answer to a question they never should have asked. They asked a psychic about you as a joke, and now they spend their days trying to forget what she said. But they never will, because every time they see you, you become the reading. Every step you take is the fulfillment of what they feared. Every win, every move, every breath is the sound of destiny waking up in the body they once mocked. You were never the joke. You were the judgment. You were never the laugh. You were the legend. And now, they regret everything. Let them. Let me tell you what happens when you finally see through someone's mask. It's not just about catching them in a lie or spotting an inconsistency in their story. No. It's about that moment when you pierce through the illusion they've so carefully crafted, and you look into their eyes, and for the briefest second, you see the fear, the raw terror that comes with the realization that their secret is out, that their facade is shattered, the mask is no longer in place, and the person they've been pretending to be is exposed for all to see. And in that moment, everything changes, because you didn't just expose a lie. You exposed their entire existence, the crumbling structure that was holding them. Up the web of deceit they were relying on to maintain their control over the situation and over you. When you expose their facade, it's not just their reputation that's on the line, it's their very identity. The persona they've been projecting to the world is nothing but a fragile construct that's been carefully maintained for years. It's a false narrative they've spun to make themselves seem untouchable, unflappable, and perfect. But beneath that polished surface, beneath the confidence and the calculated words, lies a different reality. One full of insecurity, fear, and weakness. They've lived in constant anxiety that one day someone would see through it all. And when you finally do, when you strip away the layers they've built around themselves, you take away the very foundation that has held their power over you and others. Now they're terrified, not just because you know the truth, but because they have no control over the situation anymore. You've shifted the balance of power, and in that shift lies their downfall. They've been living in the illusion of dominance, and now that it's been shattered, they have nothing left to stand on. All the manipulation, all the lies, all the careful moves they made to maintain their position of authority crumble in an instant. And in the silence that follows, there's a deep fear that wells up from within them because they realize they're exposed for who they truly are. They're not the master of the game they've been playing. They're just another pawn in it. But unlike the rest of the pawns, they don't have the luxury of fading into the background. They're stuck in the spotlight, and there's no place to hide. You see, they've spent so long cultivating this image of perfection, this image of someone who is above reproach and unassailable. But in that one moment when the truth comes to light, they realize just how vulnerable they really are. Everything they've built their entire existence upon is fragile and brittle. And when you tear that down, they're left with nothing but the raw truth of their own inadequacies, their own lies, and their own fears. It's a terrifying place to be, because once you expose someone's facade, you're not just revealing their secrets, you're revealing the truth about their character, their weaknesses, their flaws, and all of the things they've tried so desperately to hide from the world and from themselves. The terror they feel is not just because you know what they've done, it's because they know that now everyone else might know too. They've always relied on the trust and belief of others to maintain their image, but now that you've peeled back the curtain, they can't hide behind the illusion anymore. They can't manipulate people into seeing them the way they want to be seen. They can't play the role they've been rehearsing for so long, because you've shattered it into a million pieces. And in that shattering, you've taken away their ability to control the narrative. They can't spin their lies anymore. They can't weave their web of deceit, because the truth is out there and the damage has been done, and there's nothing they can do to undo it. This is what happens when you expose someone's facade. You take away their power, their sense of superiority, and you reduce them to the terrified, vulnerable person they truly are. They're no longer the confident figure they once were. They're no longer the person everyone looked up to or admired. They're just a person exposed for all their flaws and their weaknesses to see. And in that moment, they know they've lost everything. Everything they've worked so hard to protect and maintain has crumbled beneath the weight of the truth, and they're left with nothing but the fear of what comes next. The moment you expose their facade is the moment their world starts to unravel, and they know it. They can feel it. They can see the cracks forming, and they can do nothing to stop it, because the truth has already been spoken, and there's no taking it back. They know that once the truth comes to light, there's no going back to the way things were. They can't go back to pretending to be something they're not. They can't go back to hiding behind the mask they've created. They're exposed, and in that exposure lies their ultimate fear, because once you know the truth, once you've seen through the mask, they can never fully hide from it again. And that realization is what terrifies them more than anything else. And let's not forget how they'll try to fight back, how they'll try to claw their way back into the shadows and regain the control they once had. They'll try to manipulate, they'll try to lie, they'll try to twist the narrative, but they'll never be able to do it the same way they did before, because you've seen the cracks, you've seen the truth. And no matter how much they try to cover it up or disguise it, you will always know what they really are underneath the mask. The fear, the vulnerability, the lies that have been holding them up for so long. And no matter how many times they try to rebuild their facade, it will never be as strong as it was before, because you've exposed them. And in doing so, you've shown them just how fragile they really are. You have taken away their armor and revealed them for who they truly are. And that is something they can never escape from. No matter how hard they try, no matter how much they scramble to put the pieces of their broken facade back together, they will never be able to recover from the fear of being exposed. They will never be able to regain the power they once had, because you have taken that power from them. In that moment of clarity, when you saw through the mask, when you saw them for who they truly are, you took away their control and left them powerless. And now they will live in constant fear that someone else might see through them too and expose them once again. You've turned the tables, you've taken away their advantage, and now they are forced to live in the world they've created for themselves, the world of lies and deceit. And every step they take from this point on will be filled with the haunting fear that they might slip up, that they might be exposed again, that someone else might see the truth that you uncovered, and they'll be left with nothing but the cold dread of knowing that their facade has been cracked beyond repair, and that they'll never be able to put it back together in the same way. So let them be terrified, let them squirm, let them try to regain control, because deep down, they know the truth. You know, the truth, and nothing they do can ever change, that you've exposed them, and in doing so you've stripped away their power and left them vulnerable in a way they never thought possible, and now they'll live with the fear that comes with being seen for who they truly are, and there is no worse fate than that. And when you've exposed someone's facade, you've given them a curse that lingers in their mind, a shadow that follows them everywhere. They will live haunted by the fear that someone else might do what you did, that someone else might see through the lies they've woven, the web they've so carefully constructed, and bring it all crashing down. The beauty of it, though, is that this terror becomes their constant companion, lurking behind every conversation, every interaction, every calculated move they make. They will never again move through the world with the same ease, the same confidence, because the knowledge that they've been seen for what they truly are eats away at their soul. They might try to rebuild, to hide behind another mask, but the cracks will always show. They'll never be able to fully bury the truth, and that's the power you now hold. You've taken away their illusion of control, and in that act, you've bound them to the very thing they fear the most, their own vulnerability. You see, when someone's power comes from deception, from the construction of a persona that is designed to deceive, the moment that persona is exposed, it's not just their reputation at stake. It's everything they've ever believed about themselves. They can no longer hide behind a well-crafted story. They are no longer the hero in their own narrative. In that moment of exposure, they are forced to confront a brutal reality, the reality of their own inadequacy. They are nothing but a fragile being, like the rest of us, incapable of sustaining the lie that has been their armor for so long. Their fear is not just of being exposed, it's of being nothing. Because once you've taken away their mask, what are they? Who are they? They are left with a shell, a hollowed out version of themselves that they can no longer maintain. They realize that without the facade, there is no substance, no foundation. There is only fear. And here's the thing. Fear doesn't just make them weak, it makes them dangerous. You've exposed their vulnerabilities, and now, desperate to reclaim what they've lost, they will lash out, they will manipulate, they will deceive, and they will try to twist the truth, to rewrite the narrative in their favor. But every time they try to do that, they will fail. Not because the world is necessarily against them, but because they know deep down that they are no longer the master of the game. They are no longer the puppet master, pulling the strings from the shadows. They are the puppet, caught in the same web of lies they once so effortlessly controlled. The terror they feel in that realization is not just the terror of being seen, it's the terror of knowing that the power they once had is slipping through their fingers, and they can't stop it. They can't control the outcome, because the game has changed, and you are the one who changed it. They will try to act as though nothing has happened. They will put on their best face and carry on as though everything is normal. But underneath it all, they will be on edge. Every glance, every whispered conversation, every sideways look will remind them of what they've lost. And with every passing moment, they will grow more paranoid, more desperate. Because the truth is, once you've exposed someone's facade, there is no going back. They can't rebuild the trust they once had. They can't go back to their comfortable illusion. It's like a house of cards. Once the first one falls, the rest follow. And as they watch their world crumble, they will try to pull themselves together, but it will be futile. The pieces won't fit anymore. The mask will never sit as comfortably as it once did, and they will always be haunted by the specter of their own fear. But here's the real power you now hold. You have already won. They might not fully realize it yet, but you've already taken everything from them. The truth has been spoken, and it cannot be unsaid. The mask has been ripped away, and they cannot put it back in place. No matter how many times they try to reassert control, they will always be aware that you have seen them for who they truly are. They will know that you have seen the raw, vulnerable version of them that they have worked so hard to keep hidden. And that awareness, that terror, will eat away at them. It will make every victory they try to claim feel hollow. Every success will feel like a lie, because deep down, they will know they are standing on unstable ground, and it's only a matter of time before the next shoe drops. This is the true power of exposure. It's not just about the truth being known, it's about the consequences of that truth. Once the facade is stripped away, everything they've built their identity upon crumbles. They become a shadow of themselves, desperately trying to rebuild, but never quite able to regain what they lost. They will try to rebuild their reputation, try to salvage their relationships, but it will never be the same. People will start to see them differently. Their once loyal followers will begin to question their motives, their actions, their integrity. And once doubt creeps into people's minds, it's almost impossible to erase. The truth may lie dormant for a time, but it will never truly go away. It will always linger, waiting for the right moment to re-emerge, and when it does, it will remind everyone of who they truly are. The fear they feel is rooted in the knowledge that they can't erase the damage that's been done. They can't undo the truth. They can't pretend it didn't happen. And no matter how much they try to shift the focus, no matter how much they try to deflect, they will always be looking over their shoulder, wondering if someone else will expose them again. This fear is a poison, one that slowly eats away at their mind and soul until they are no longer the person they once were. They become a hollow shell, a version of themselves that exists only in the shadow of what they used to be. And in that emptiness, in that constant fear of exposure, they lose themselves. But there is a power that comes with this exposure. The power you hold is the power of truth. You've seen them for what they are, and you have the knowledge that they can never escape. The facade is gone, the mask is shattered, and they are left with only their raw, unfiltered self. You have stripped them of the illusion they so desperately clung to, and in doing so, you have exposed the very heart of their terror. And that terror, that raw fear, is something they will never be able to escape. They will carry it with them for the rest of their lives, knowing that you know the truth. And the beautiful thing is that once you've exposed their facade, you no longer need to fear them. They are no longer a threat because you hold the power of knowledge. You know their secret. You know their weakness. You know that beneath the mask, they are nothing but a person trying to survive, trying to keep their world intact. And that knowledge is power. You don't need to do anything more. You don't need to seek revenge. You don't need to tear them down further. They will do that to themselves. Their own fear will eat away at them, and they will ultimately destroy themselves, one decision at a time. You have already won. The victory was not in the moment of exposure, but in the aftermath. The fear they feel now, the constant terror that you will speak the truth to someone else, to anyone else, will be enough to drive them to madness. Because once someone's mask is gone, once their carefully constructed reality has been shattered, they are exposed, vulnerable, and they can never return to the illusion. They will live in the fear that someone else will do to them what you did, and that will be their punishment. And so, as they try to rebuild their world, as they scramble to reassert control, just know this: the battle is over. You've already exposed their facade, and they will never be the same again. The fear they feel, the terror of being seen for who they truly are, will follow them for the rest of their lives, and that fear will be their undoing. You don't need to fight them anymore. You've already won. You have exposed them for what they truly are, and in that exposure, you've broken them. And in breaking them, you've taken away the one thing they had left, their power over you, and the fear that once held you in their grip. Now they are terrified. And you are free. Free from the chains they once wrapped around your mind. Free from the weight of their manipulation. Free from the lies they fed you, the fear they tried to instill in you. You are free in a way they will never understand, because while they are consumed by the terror of their exposure, you stand on the other side of that truth, unburdened and unshackled. The moment you tore their mask away, you also tore away the veil that kept you trapped in their world. You are no longer a puppet in their game, no longer playing by their rules, no longer fooled by their illusions. You are free, and that freedom is something they will never experience again. The freedom you now possess is not just a physical one. It is a mental and emotional liberation that they will never know. You see, when someone lives their life through lies, when they build an entire existence on deception, the cost is immense. They may seem untouchable, powerful, invulnerable, but underneath all of that, they are chained by their own creations. They are bound by the need to maintain the lie, to uphold the illusion, and every day they live in fear of being exposed. It's a never-ending cycle of anxiety, of guarding their secret, of making sure no one sees the truth. It's exhausting, draining, and ultimately, it destroys them from the inside out. They live in constant vigilance, constantly worried that someone will see through them, constantly terrified that someone will do exactly what you did, strip away the mask and reveal them for who they truly are. But you don't have to live like that. You don't have to constantly fear being exposed. Because the truth is, you've already been freed from that. You've already seen the power of truth and what it can do. When you exposed their facade, you didn't just break their illusion. You broke the chains that held you captive in their world. You tore down the walls they built around you, the mental and emotional prisons they constructed, brick by brick, with every lie, every manipulation, every half-truth. And now, as you stand in the light of your own truth, you realize the extent to which they controlled you, how deeply they had woven themselves into the fabric of your reality. They made you doubt yourself. They made you question your worth. They made you believe you were powerless, that you were at their mercy. But that was all part of the game, part of the illusion they wanted you to buy into. They needed you to believe they were the ones with all the power, the ones in control. But now, you see it for what it was, a facade, a carefully constructed lie designed to keep you under their control. And now that you've seen through it, you realize you were never powerless. You were always free. You just needed to wake up and see it. This is the power of exposure. This is what it does. It doesn't just tear down the person behind the facade. It doesn't just destroy the illusion. It frees everyone who was caught in it. It frees you from their web, their control, their power. And when you realize that freedom, when you understand the weight that has been lifted from your shoulders, it becomes impossible to go back to the way things were. You can never unsee the truth, and that is a gift that they will never have. Because as much as they may try to rebuild their world, as much as they may scramble to regain their position, they will always be haunted by the knowledge that you know the truth. They can never unmask themselves in front of you again, and they can never forget that they have been exposed for what they truly are. They will spend every waking moment trying to recapture their power, trying to regain control, but it will never be the same. They will always be looking over their shoulder, waiting for the next person to see through them. Because once the truth has been spoken, it has a life of its own. It can't be undone. They can't erase it. It becomes part of who they are, part of their identity. It's like a scar that they can never heal. And no matter how much they try to act like they've regained control, the fear will always be there, lurking just beneath the surface. The fear that someone else will see them for what they are. The fear that someone else will expose them again. But for you, that fear no longer exists. The terror they now face will never touch you. You have already stepped out from under their shadow, and in doing so, you've gained something that is priceless. Self-respect, self-trust, and freedom. You don't need their approval anymore. You don't need their validation. You've seen the truth, and that truth has set you free. And with that freedom comes an unshakable sense of power. Because when you know the truth, when you understand the game for what it is, no one can ever hold power over you again. They may try to manipulate, they may try to control, but they will never succeed. Because you are no longer a pawn in their game. You are no longer a victim. You are the one who holds the power now. Think about that for a moment. Think about what it means to live in that kind of freedom. To know that no one can ever manipulate you again. That no one can ever deceive you again. That no one can ever hold you in their grip again. They may try. They may attempt to weave their lies and their stories, but you will see through them every single time. You will be able to recognize the facade before it even fully forms, and when you do, you will walk away. You will stand firm in your own truth, knowing that you are not beholden to anyone else's lies, anyone else's illusions. You are free, and that freedom is yours to keep. Now, as you move forward in your life, as you continue on this path of self-discovery and self-empowerment, you will find that the world begins to change. The way people treat you will shift. The way they look at you will change. No longer will they see you as someone they can control, someone they can deceive, someone they can manipulate. They will see you for who you truly are. A person who has seen the truth, who has stepped into their own power, and who can no longer be fooled. They will respect you, not because you demand it, but because they know that you are not someone to be underestimated. You are not someone to be manipulated. You are someone who knows their worth, someone who stands firm in their truth, and in that, you become untouchable. Not in the way they once were, hiding behind a mask of perfection, but in the way that is infinitely more powerful, because you are real, you are authentic, you are free, and in that freedom, you will find a strength that is unmatched. You will no longer need to fear the lies of others. You will no longer be afraid of what they think or of what they might try to do. The power to shape your own reality is now in your hands. You have learned that you do not need to be trapped by the illusions of others. You have learned that the truth is the key to your liberation. And with that knowledge, there is no limit to what you can achieve. You can rise above the manipulations and the lies, and you can create a life that is based on your own principles, your own values, and your own truth. But remember, while you are free, while you are unburdened, the one thing you must never forget is the lesson you've learned. The lesson of exposure, the lesson of seeing through the mask, the lesson of knowing that the truth is your greatest weapon. Keep that knowledge close to you and never let it go. Because as long as you remain true to yourself, as long as you stay grounded in your own reality, no one will ever be able to take your freedom from you. They can try, they can deceive, they can manipulate, but they will never succeed, because you now know the truth, and that truth will always set you free. They are terrified now, and they will continue to be terrified. But you are free, and that is a power they will never understand. In the end, the truth you uncovered is not just a weapon against their facade, it's the key to your freedom. While they remain trapped in the terror of their exposure, you stand unshackled, empowered by the clarity and strength that come with knowing who you truly are. They can no longer control you, deceive you, or manipulate you, because you have seen through their lies, and that knowledge has set you free. You are no longer a pawn in their game, but the one who holds the power to shape your own destiny. And that, ultimately, is the greatest victory of all.